Imagine if your face were a super sound collector. It will be an incredible experience, isn't it? But in nature, owls have this. Have you ever wondered how an owl spots its prey in complete darkness? Yes, it's due to a superpower that lies in their asymmetrical ears. Welcome to our new video that uncovers the secrets of this silent hunter's most advanced hearing system. Owls are normally nocturnal species, so they are generally active at night, and their advanced ears help them in hunting and survival. The ears are located on the sides of the head, behind the eyes, and are normally covered by the feathers. Ear tufts are visible on some species, but they are not ears. Rather, they are display feathers. Generally, owls have asymmetrical ears, or uneven ear openings. It means the left ear opening is higher than the right, a peculiarity seen in nocturnal species. The pronounced facial disc is another important feature of owls. This feature acts like a radar disc and helps in effective hearing. Its facial muscles help change the shape of the disc when needed, and this capability enables the disc to change shape, resulting in an increased surface area and further enhancing its auditory system. The ear starts with an ear opening or aperture. In some species, it is covered with an operculum. The order Strigiformes is divided into two families, the Titanidae and the Strigidae. Overall, Titanids have a relatively smaller ear opening with a large open operculum, while Strigids have a more varied ear shape. Now, we will examine a special owl species with a diurnal lifestyle. Even though we say asymmetrical ears of owls, in some owls with a crepuscular lifestyle, like the little owl or Athena noctua, the ears are symmetrical. Interestingly, in the early embryonic days of little owls, they too have asymmetrical ears, but vanish shortly before hatching. We believe that it is due to its evolved diurnal lifestyle. Due to the symmetrical ears, little owls are not as adapted to hunting at night as other owl species. Now you may think, how does this asymmetry help them? If an owl flying in its normal flight posture with its head downwards, then sound coming from ahead of the owl will be louder in the right ear than the left ear. And as the owl approaches the prey, the sound intensity balance will shift to the left ear. If an owl is sitting, then the sound from directly below would be louder in the left ear than the right. According to Rolf Norberg of the University of Göteborg, the ear asymmetry of owls has evolved at least 5 times, independently within 7 different owl genera. This asymmetry is due to the presence of soft tissue, such as skin flaps. But in some owls, like the boreal owl, the ear opening into the skull itself exhibits marked asymmetry. When both ears receive a sound signal, the auditory system combines it to create a perception of a single source at a fixed location. This process is known as binaural fusion. For example, it is due to binaural fusion that we feel the illusion of different instruments and sounds occupying different places in a stereo recording. When sound from a source reaches one ear of an owl, it can be different from the sound heard by the other ear. Or in other words, the sounds received by the 2 ears are not the same. So 2 characteristics are important in calculating the location of an incoming sound. They are the intensity of sound and the timing of sound. The difference in the intensity of sound reaching the ears is known as IID, or interaural intensity difference. A major reason for IID is the owl's head. The head acts like a barrier, and as a result, the far side ear is in a sound shadow region. The diffraction of sound by the head reduces the intensity at one ear compared to the other. The difference in sound arrival time between ears is called ITD, or interaural time difference. The reason for ITD is the spatial separation of the two ears. In normal conditions, the speed of sound in air is 343 meters per second. So if the ears are 100 millimeters apart, then there will be a time difference of 300 microseconds. Interestingly, the maximum interaural intensity difference would be small for small animals because they have considerably smaller ear separation. When a sound reaches an owl's ear, it uses separate sound features for analysis in 2 dimensions. Owls use ITD to find the horizontal origin, or azimuth of sound, and IID to determine the elevation of sound. Both help owls to specify the coordinates of a point on an imaginary sphere centered on their head. The sound signal, when it reaches the eardrum through the external auditory meatus or ear canal, is ultimately processed to determine the 2-dimensional origin of the sound source, with an accuracy better than 2 degrees in both horizontal and vertical dimensions. When compared with humans, it is the same in the horizontal plane, but owls are about 3 times better in the vertical plane. Apart from the facial ruff, another essential feature that helps owls for effective sound perception is the saccade, or the rapid head flick, which allows them to directly face the sound before it launches an attack on its prey. Now it's time to see how the owl effectively processes sound. The sound is converted to neural signals by auditory receptors in the basilar membrane of the cochlea, a small spiral chamber inside the ear. A normal owl can hear a slightly narrower range of frequencies than we, the humans. However, they differ when it comes to the mid 1 to 9 kilohertz range. In this range, they are about 9 to 10 times more sensitive. In the inner ear, sensory neurons linked to hair cells on the basilar papilla of the cochlea respond to sound-induced vibrations. In owls, the papilla is 3 times longer than in other birds, and more than half of the papilla's length is dedicated to 4 to 10 kilohertz frequency. The hairs with line-labeled neurons at the papilla's base will respond to high-frequency sound, and hairs at the tip will sense low-frequency sound. Each neuron responds only to a particular frequency, known as its best frequency. When a combination of sounds reaches the ear, the owl can detect the different sounds using the different combinations of neural sensory lines. Sensory neurons from the ear enter the brain through the 8th cranial nerve and innervate the cochlear nerve on each side. As it enters the cochlear nerve, each axon is divided into 2 branches. One is called the magnocellular nucleus, and the other is called the angular nucleus. From this division, the separate pathways for ITD and IID start. Due to high voltage, the KCNC1 potassium channel, magnocellular nucleus can fire at spike frequencies as high as 700 kilohertz with narrow spike width, so they have similar phase locking to that seen in the sensory nerves themselves. A particular neuron responding to a particular frequency will always tend to spike at a particular phase in the sine wave cycle, which is called phase locking, and the average phase in the cycle that it fires on is fixed. These neurons are tuned to maintain timing and intensity information. The ITD is determined by a mechanism called the Jeffress-type mechanism. Cells from the magnocellular nucleus send signals regarding time and frequency to the laminar nucleus. The interaction between the magnocellular nucleus and the laminar nucleus initiates the Jeffress mechanism. The Jeffress model was first published by Lloyd Jeffress in a paper called A Place Theory of Sound Localization. According to Jeffress, a neural circuit in which neurons were tuned to be activated only by incoming sound signals with specific ITD. This circuit has 2 key features: coincidence detecting neurons, or neurons that only spike if they receive exactly synchronous synaptic input from separate sources, and delay lines. The delay lines take different amounts of time for signals from the two ears to arrive at different coincidence detectors. Once ITD and IID are calculated and relayed to the inferior colliculus, an auditory map is created in the inferior colliculus. This two-dimensional map helps owls to hunt their prey even in the darkness effectively with precision. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please share the video with your friends. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel, and you never miss out on forthcoming content. Now, it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we would like to hear your suggestions. See you in the next video.